Evening, everybody. It is Friday the 30th of July 2021. This is Barbers Arms, episode 63. Me and Gaz are going to take you through the weekly news. Let's see what's happening in our fantastic industry. And about 8:15, making his second appearance with a different story, though. We had him back on episode 3, but he's joined us 60 episodes later. We got Joth Davies, the founder of Savills Barbers, and his new venture, which is Bricky Road. We're going to hear all about Joth's journey through lockdown and see what's happening with his new venture. At about 8:45, we've got one of the new kids on the block from the Dale Inn Salon in Shrewsbury. We've got Rhys Whitehouse going to be joining us here on Barbers Arms, episode 63. Without further ado, please welcome my co-host, one and only, Mr. Gary Machin.
Wow, thank you very much, Mr. Simon Shaw. It's great to be back. Great to be on the show once again on a Friday after work. Can I just say a big thank you to all the guests from last week. We had Mitch Lucas from Cow, great guest, insight into selling and big corporations. We had Jake Lansley as well, being very honest. We had a great interview with him as well. And we had Xavier and Mr. Captain Force himself, Richie, for the Barbers Ride, and we obviously donated for that as well. So everybody who's out there, if you want to donate to a fantastic cause, go to the Barbers Ride, make a wish. 78,000, over 78,000 views from last week's show. So we thank you one and all. And how's your week been, mate?
It's been a busy one. Started on Sunday again. I think most of my week is again getting back into some normality. It's the beginning of the week that's the busy part. Travelling away again on Sundays and then travelling back probably Wednesday nights and then working from home Thursday, Friday. But great to work with Jonathan Andrews from the Fellowship Project Men's team and the whole 10 of them that was on the Project Men. We had a fantastic photography day and we've got some great looks that I've had a look at today. I've just seen some of the snaps there. So I'm hoping that one of them will hit somebody's front cover. But yeah, great day. Great to see so many people, Gary, as well, really wanting to learn. And these aren't kids as well. These are these are people who are well established in the industry. And, you know, they just want to get on this project with Jonathan. They're seeing different seminars. They had a photo shoot. Obviously, we as Wahl went in and endorsed this photo shoot with them and we changed things up a little bit. And it was fantastic. Really enjoyed it. Was down at HQ as well on Tuesday. So yeah, busy week travelling and it's all good. A bit disappointed with the weather. It's not been very good. And I just want to say congratulations to everybody. You've all got your notification either Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday who's got through to this year's British Hairdresser of the Year final. Everybody who's got the notification shortlisted to the last 6 in each category. Congratulations to you all. I just want to say tonight as well, officially, I am going to tell everybody that in the last week of August, we are a little bit late this year because of COVID, but last week in August, the Wahl British Barber of the Year and Wahl British Barbershop of the Year will be launched right here live on Barbers Arms. And that's where you're about to get your entries in to win what is now the one and only to win in this industry. It's the main one, the Wahl Barber of the Year and the Wahl Barbershop of the Year. Killian Madison won it last year. And Andy's Barbershop in Bicester was the recipient of the Barbershop of the Year. Really looking forward to that, guys. I hope you're going to judge it again this year in live as well. It should be at Salon International. Fingers crossed, everybody, you know, nice and safe, and we're at Salon. So are you looking forward to that?
Oh, I can't wait for Salon this year. I mean, I am, you know, hoping and praying, crossed everything that we get to the exhibition centre this year. I mean, really missed everybody. There's nothing. I know we hold Zoom meetings and we do this, and you know my working week is Zoom mania. But you know, there's nothing like actually seeing people in the flesh, is there? And you know, jumping all over them, giving them a kiss. I know we do it socially acceptable and everything else, but you do miss that people person. I know, you know, we work with the general public every day, but you miss people. You miss people around the country, around the world as well. We've been doing some work this week for our North American cousins. We've been doing a lot of filming and trying to, you know, keep in touch with everybody around the world as well. So been really busy week though. First week of the kids' holidays. It's been
How's that been? Have you seen an uptick? Is that busier or is it quieter? I mean, you know, from you've got 5 barbershops. What's it been like across the locations? Is it busier?
Oh, of course we have staff off as well. As soon as kids' holidays come, staff with children, they want to be off as well. But we definitely seen, especially with the restrictions changing. We're still wearing masks from our point of view as staff, but it's not mandatory now for clients. But we've been so busy, I can't tell you. It's the guys have been great covering shifts and different things, but it's that time of year, isn't it, as well? And you know, you think, well, people aren't traveling abroad. Some people are, they're taking the risk. But everybody seems to be going somewhere. So it's great. It's great to see from a business point of view, but it's great to see people, you know, making that effort and getting out there as well.
Guys, I think it's really important now and poignant at this point. Obviously, through lockdown, everybody worked on Zoom and Teams, and it's the only way we could do anything visually in terms of education. I speak to a lot of hairdressers and barbers, though, who have continued to carry on certain things on Zoom and certain things on Teams and things, whichever platform you work on. But just from your perspective, so you're back in working, obviously not full time, but nearly full time on a column and doing your education. But then in between that, you're doing your Zoom calls. So how's that working for you? How's that work? Is it hard to get your head around where you've just done a client and then you have to go into a quiet area that sometimes is not that quiet, like a staff room, people are walking in. I had a meeting with Alan Beak yesterday morning, and he was so busy in and out of the staff room. Then his client turned up, and how are you fitting that in, still doing things like Zooms and things like that?
Well, a massive part of my week is meetings. I mean, I speak to you probably, you know, usually if we're doing normal meetings, it's at least 2, you know, twice a week. Then we've got the council, I work for the Department of Education, work on the steering group. So I'm Zooming all week long. And I just have to book that out. That is one thing I will say. That is the only plus point about, or one of the plus points about running a column now that is appointment only, is that you can book time out, can't you? If you know you've got an hour booked out. It's very hard now, though, to do anything spur of the moment, obviously, because you've got clients booked in. If somebody says to you, I need to take a phone call at 10 o'clock and you've got a 10 o'clock client, you can't do it, can you? You've got to give presence to the client. But I think it has made me work a little bit more organised, if you like, you know. But I teach as well, don't I? So we're doing a lot of CPD for a lot of other shops, barbershops, training academies, colleges, things like that. So I'm booked out twice a week, 2 days a week for purely education. At the moment, we are short-staffed a bit because staff are off. So, you know, we're having to pull up the slack. But everything else, it's pretty good. I use the academy now. I've got an office in the academy that I do all my Zoom calls from, or if I'm at home, because it's not very professional. I know we have all the jokes about the dog going past and kids coming up and messing with you, but you can't do that now. We've had enough of that. You know, we've got to that point. We've done it so much now. You know, the Zoom suits where you just take a bib off and you're really in your pajamas and things. Mainly, it all comes from work now. It's you know, we're not at home anymore. I'm very rare at home, so it is all at work now. So
you managed to fit it in. You managed to fit it in, though.
Yeah. Well, you've got to, haven't you? It's the way of the world now. I mean, we've got so many people we're connected with around the world, as you are yourself with the teams that you've got. You know, we've got clients all around the world. We've got academies. We've got people that we've got to keep in touch with, and the state of North America at the moment. You know, and you know, give all our love out there at the moment. We're not like our government's saying we can travel, but obviously they're not letting us in at the moment. You know, the non-nationals are not being allowed in.
Where do you go? Because wherever you go, you're playing Russian roulette. Whether you've got to isolate when you come back. You know, I was speaking to a friend of mine who were coming over from LA. He's been in Chicago for a week, and then all his flights had been cancelled for testing. Then he went to the airport. His girlfriend could fly out on Thursday. He could fly out Wednesday. He just said, "Oh, do you know what? It's not worth it." He was going to come up to Scotland. Talking of Scotland, is there somebody that's having a birthday up in Scotland?
Yes, we've got Mr. Ross Miller. If you're watching, Ross, Jackie, we wish you all the very best, sir. You must be getting on now. He must be getting close to our age now, mustn't he? You know, I know he's a young lad, but he must be getting close to us now. So, Slange Arthur, mate, all the very best. Cheers. Have a good one.
I'm having a London. I had it in London on Monday. London Meantime Lager. Trying it, a bit different.
Yeah, I've gone back to the old faithful. I've got on the Yuki Brown.
It's nice to have a week off where we're not being told what to drink. It's nice to have a week where you can pick it. But I tell you what, with these craft beers that you've just said, is the taste when you have one of these beers is completely different to the traditional. You know, when you have a Stella or a Moretti and you're going for pints. When you have these, and we've been trying them over the last few weeks, I've struggled now to get a pint of lager. I went into my local and had a pint of Moretti, and I'm like, that's not right. That don't taste right. And that's because all of these that we've been drinking have got such a strong taste to them. There's undertones. You can taste the oranges, the lemons, the Brewdog stuff, IPA, are all fantastic. And I know, we're talking IPA, we've got a massive Indian audience always watching us as well over in India. Come and start to everybody out there. It's fantastic to have you all still watching. I know it's still a bit tough out there. I know we had Prathamish on a few weeks ago, but guys, all I can say out there is I cannot wait to come back out to India when it's safe to do so. So I'll see you in 2025.
I'd like to say that as well to all our Spanish contingent as well, especially Miss Lillian Smith, who we miss and we want to get her over to you as well. I know she's watching tonight. I just give you a big shout out there, Lillian. Beautiful woman, love her to death. And, you know, we've got the house in Spain. A year last February we were out there. A year last February. I mean, you just couldn't write it, could you? You know, it's just unbelievable. So, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, the whole situation is just unwritable. But even now, even though we've got a property out there, I still daren't go out there because they're on about now putting Spain into whatever this is, Amber Plus and whatever that is. You know, I've lost count of what it means anymore. But you know, it's a bit of a sticky wicket really at the moment, isn't it, in Spain?
It's sticky Vicky. You can't. It's just one of those things where you just can't predict it. Fuck's sake. I mean, you know, we're going to be going on for this, and you know, one of the things I'm asking with exhibitors and stuff, people who are organising, is give some guidance. You know, don't tell us it's going to be like it has going to be. You know, it's not just about this. The people that are standing there, and you know, people who are exhibiting. You know, don't want to deal with cash, don't want to deal with multiple of people. You've got to make it safe environment for everybody. It just can't go back to how it were. I want it to. Trust me, I want it to. But I just can't as well. Gaz, remind me after we've finished with Joth and Rhys. I want to talk about fair play. And I'm going to be very controversial tonight. Looking at some awards that's been judged this week by the people who have judged it. And then looking at finalists that's got through. It's very, very close. I'm not saying there's anything untoward there, but I'm just saying it looks a little bit on the naked eye, and I would want people to come in and talk to us a little bit about that and tell us where you feel about that with awards and how people judge.
That could be a future guest to tell us exactly and dispel all the myths and see where we actually do stand with that. Because I know
lots of people this week commented on that to me. And I've stuck up for everybody involved in this. But obviously, when you're reading things and looking at things, and it looks like, oh, he's judged that, and his team's in that. And it's like, I don't think it works that way. But yeah, to the naked eye, it does. Without further ado, though, go on, sorry, guys.
Do you know what, though? I've judged stuff, you know, a lot of competitions in the past. And especially, I know it isn't the same with your competition with British Barber. We don't do it in teams or anything like that. But when you have got a lot of categories, you don't. If you get asked to judge, you don't necessarily judge every category.
No.
You get given. You get given a lump, and some get given a lump. And there's still questions to be asked.
I think then that the companies that do this have a responsibility to make sure that that's not, you know, it needs to be transparent.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. It needs to be I know I was speaking to David Foster from Barber'S. We were talking the other day and we were on about the Wahl competition. He said it must be the toughest one to win with the amount of entries, you know, looking at the entries for what we had last year, over 150 entries for the Barber of the Year, which is massive. I mean, it's quadrupled some entries into some competitions that. But I just know how it's dwindled down from the first 150 to 30 to then me and Joth, then we go through everything to get it down to the last 8. And then independently, it's judged from all different four corners. We have editors from Modern Barber, Charlotte, yourself, you know, Joth himself, maybe Frank Ryman this year. It's such a tight competition. Anybody who wins that knows that you've won it.
Yeah.
No, you've won it. So, look, anyway, here we go. We're going to take us right back to episode 3. Can you remember it? I think he set the standard as well when he turned up all dressed up in his white suit and he looked all really cool in his little setting there. But since that, 60 episodes have gone, we were in the very infancy of lockdown and we're all a little bit, look, it is what it is. We've got to cope with it. I think Joth's story tonight will give us a real honest indication of what has happened from lockdown to where he is today, a new business that he's opened up in Bricky Road, how he's gone back to working at the roots of, you know, a smaller shop, and obviously he's gone through lots of different trials and tribulations, the Giovanni thing and everything. So I'm really looking forward to this next interview. So I think Joth is just pulling into our Barbers Arms car park right now. Do we have Joth Davies? Here we have the man himself in his manor out there in a beautiful area, guys. He just lives near, it's just evaded me, Chatsworth House, just at the side of Chatsworth House. He lives in the small manor house there, just at the side. But I'm not going to bull this kid up anyway. Look, he's just one of my best mates. Without further ado, please welcome for the second time on Barbers Arms, the one and only Mr. Joth Davies. How you doing, my man?
I'm all right. How are you? Good.
We're absolutely average.
Yeah, much the same.
How are we, Joth? You well, sir?
Yeah, good. You?
Very, very good. You got a different setting. We're not in the shop today. I take it this is your manor house attached to Chatsworth House, then, as Simon just said.
It's a little cottage in the country.
It's not. It's massive. It's got about 25 bedrooms and everything. He's got servants and everything working for him. And they say barbers don't pay well. Fuck me.
20 acres of land. He's a landowner now. Get off my land.
Get off my land. Right.
So, Joth, you know, you're the first guest that we've had on second time. So you made history. And the reason why I think it's very important to get you back on is because I think, you know, look at the views that we get now, you know, on an average week, we'll average 80,000 views. I think in your week, there were 15,000 views. And I think, you know, looking at your stature, if you'd have come in, you know, middle of lockdown last year, you'd have been right up there with 300,000 views. But I think it was very early, episode 3 or 4 that you joined us in. But I think since that, there's been so much that's happened in the industry. I was just saying there in the intro, I don't know if you listened to it, we're all sat, me, you and Gaz together. Look, it is what it is. I spoke to you. You were quite chilled. You've got a good business. So it's not like you were like, you know, you weren't light skinned. You got lots of say. You could manage through the weather. But then I do think COVID has took a turn with you as well. And it's hit you in so many different areas. And I thought it was really important to get you back on because it's hit you. You've come back. You've had new businesses. But I think it's really important for all who watch us live, but also the thousands that watch us through the week to listen to your story. So we don't need to tell you what's going to happen on Barbers Arms. There's going to be no quick fire questions. We don't need to ask you what your favourite food is tonight. We're going to go straight into a real honest interview here about what has happened. I'm going to start off with the first question. And if you've seen since we came back after our summer break, our first guests were really good friends of yours, Rob and Lean from Shoreham. I think they were really honest. They set the precedence in the honesty about alcoholism, drugs, you know, however they've got in it. And the appreciation you get off everybody when we are honest is superb. But my first question to you is, what's the biggest changes that's happened to your business in the last 12 months? What's the biggest things that's changed around?
I mean, as far as Savills is concerned, it's what's happening within the city centre. I mean, Sheffield city centre has been way behind where it should have been for quite some time, and the footfall from where the shop currently is anyway, I'd seen that go into decline before COVID, and I think we all knew, you know, Debenhams and that sort of corporation was sort of teetering on the edge, and then John Lewis, which was you know, the sort of biggest drawer of retailers in Sheffield. So to see those both go, and then to see a lot of the other shops that were classed as city centre just be absolutely decimated. I mean, you know, the sort of main run in Sheffield now, where which you would call or would have called the city centre, is now there must be maybe 15, 16 empty units on there now. So there's really nothing left for guys to come into town for. I mean, there's a lot of building work going off, but it's not going to be finished for another 3 years. So unless you want to go to Primark or H&M, there's nothing for sort of young guys to come in and want to come into town for. So consequently, everybody's been working from home, or mostly people working from home with furlough. It's just absolutely decimated the shop in town. I mean, there's normally 14 of us, 15 of us in that one shop. I've now got 5 and 1 part-timer, so 5.5. So it could be 60% down.
I mean, it's a story probably that resonates with people all around the country, for sure. I mean, in our local area, we've lost Debenhams and things like that as well. But from your point of view, I know you said that the footfall was dropping anyway, but from Savills' point of view, is it because you've had to finish staff? You know, give our viewers an idea. Have people gone the separate ways? Obviously, you're a great company. You're a big company, very successful. Did you furlough the staff? Did they, you know, I'm sure you looked after the staff. Was it their decision to leave Savills? Have you lost Savills? People from Savills? You know, I know we've had the tragic side of things as well, stories, but what's actually changed within the business to lose all that staff? And how do you keep you know, with losing all those staff, how do you keep your overheads covered? And, you know, how's the business running?
I mean, it's happened over a 12-month period, because nobody knew what was going to happen when we came back on the 4th of July last year. You know, the one thing that was certain was we were going to be busy for the next, you know, month or so. And I'd lost 2 barbers during that lockdown anyway. One which was Giovanni, and we all know how that ended, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And Martin, and I knew Martin was going to go anyway, because he'd been travelling from York every day, and before COVID, we were discussing about his sort of departing and wanting to sort of, you know, do less of that commute, and I understood that, and we were going to try and do something together, you know, in York anyway. And obviously he then decided during that lockdown that you know, as most people were going to be from home, he was going to work from home and do that from there. And then Giovanni decided to set up his own business. So that was sort of 2 people gone. So I had to replace those during lockdown, which was difficult because you couldn't really meet anyone. You couldn't get models in to do for them to do haircuts for a trades test. So I had to do everything on mannequin heads, and obviously there was a period where, you know, we couldn't even come into contact. So that was all very awkward. So I think we were then back up to probably about, I reckon, 9 of us from 4th of July. And then once we got over that initial rush of the first sort of month, then things started to drop off on it, and then it obviously went quiet, like we'd never seen quiet. and Sheffield goes quiet during the summer anyway. Once the students, once the bigger universities goes, and then to cut sort of long story short, you know, gradually people just sort of naturally left because just wasn't busy enough. Or I would, and we, you know, I was sort of, everyone was having 2 days off a week, sometimes 3 days off a week, in order to try and balance it out, to try and make it fair for everyone, so that we didn't have everybody in on the days when it was quiet. And so yeah, it wasn't a decision that I made to ask anyone to leave. It just sort of happened. It was a natural discussion between me and another barber at the time, and I'd say probably 99% of them left, you know, all kind of in a good way. One just didn't even turn up for work one day, never heard from him, didn't know what was happening, no idea why. Had a really good relationship until that point. So I think I can only imagine, you know, he was just going through a very stressful situation. And yeah, it was just a real rubbish year. And then, so just getting through that year was a fight. And then obviously then we'd heard about Sam Wahl, which was, you know, terrible news. And,
Joth, just before you go on to this, I know what you're going to come up to with Sam and G, but I don't want to interrupt you there, but just before you move on to that, any regrets on how you managed that period of time? Because none of us had been through any of that. We didn't know what we were coping with. We never had this in our lifetime, to have a lockdown. So if you had to do it again, would you do it different? Was there any regrets that you've got, that the way that things were managed? Would you do anything different?
No, not in that first year. I wouldn't know, because it was all completely out of my hands. I couldn't change anything, and I couldn't do anything to try and make it any better to keep people there. And I completely understood why the people that wanted to go, you know, wanted to go. So there was only one person that I did have to make redundant, which was really upsetting, actually, which was Alex. You know, Alex, who was one of my juniors, and I put a lot of time into training him, and he was such a nice lad. But it just got to a situation where I couldn't physically train him because I was sort of tied, you know, behind the chair, and I had to do what was best for him. And I knew if I'd let him go, that the training provider could have carried on his training for him at his mum's salon, you know, back up in York. And so yeah, that was kind of really sad to sort of see him go. But I've stayed in close contact with him. I literally had a conversation with him the other day, and I've said, look, whenever he's ready and whenever I'm sort of free from the shop, which we'll talk about in a minute, he's going to come back, and I'm going to do, you know, I'll do free training with him for days and days and staves just to get him back up.
That's nice.
Wherever he needs to
do you know what, Joth?
Job now. He's working in a barbershop in York, and he seems to be doing okay.
Do you know what, Joth? I think what resonates with a lot of people, and I'm sure this will be true as people listen to this, is from a personal point of view, and, you know, I know we're very similar how we run our businesses. I felt out, you know, we weren't in control of our businesses anymore, were we? You know, that was the thing that really hit me, was, you know, we were being told how to run a business. We've got a really good business plan. We've been very successful for 37 years, or, you know, 30 odd years. And we were being told how we were to run our businesses, the regulations put in place as well. And I think we underestimate how that affects us as people as well. You know, it was even now, you know, with everything going on, and we don't know exactly, because they only tell us what they want us to know. It could happen again tomorrow, and I don't want to put a downer on this, but as a business owner, that unknown is, I can't tell you how it gnaws away at you, isn't it? You know what I mean? I'm sure you feel the same way.
Well, yeah, nobody ever expected this was going to happen, did they? And not in the way that it did. And I think once that initial bit was done, you know, people were then thinking, well, maybe we'll get back into it and it'll settle, and then bang, it happens again, and then bang, another, you know, and for another month, and then another 3.5 months, and you're like, God, I don't know how much more we can take of this. You know, it's getting to a point now where I'm like, okay, you know what I mean? We're still having to pay the rent out and all these things. And I know we had all the grants and everything coming in, but the grants just didn't even touch the sides. Just didn't, you add them all together, it didn't even cover the turnover that we lost within the first month. And then not only from the shop, but the academy. Obviously, I run the academy from the shop as well. And the majority of people that come on the academy come from abroad because they're little just 1, 2, 3 day courses. Well, you know, I mean, I actually had a guy who was supposed to be coming from Wuhan just before the pandemic started in the sort of November before the year when it was all sort of kicking off out there. And we sort of said, well, look, I don't think they're going to let you in. We're going to have to wait and see what happens here. So that's been on stop. And then we've got obviously the product range Copacetic, which sells globally. That obviously came on complete stop as well because in different countries and it was coming open and close, but then people weren't buying as much. And then obviously there's the other work that I do traveling, you know, like you both do as well with seminars and exhibitions. So it's hit every conceivable part of the business that it could. You know, there was nothing you could do to escape it.
You were just going to talk about as well before we said about any regrets about the last 12 months. Obviously, you got through it the best you could. You were talking about then how, you know, some very close friends of yours, unfortunately, took their own lives, and it's very sad in the industry. But for you as an individual, speaking you through this, and I think you were the first person on both accounts to speak to me about both of these people. How did you get through it, mate?
So it was tough. I mean, I'd had a really tough 12 months before COVID. Mentally and physically, I think I'd had just like a work, like a big load of stress that I think had just been building up and building up. I'm not someone that sort of feels stressed or feel like I'm getting stressed, but I think I'd had it's kind of one of these, how it was described to me was, imagine you've got this little glass like in the back of your head and it's kind of like a filter. So you're busy, you know, you have to deal with something at the shop. It might be a bit of a stressful situation, but you know, someone's leaving or someone's stolen something from the till or whatever the situation is. You're just kind of so busy, you kind of got to go, wow, just deal with it and move on. So you don't actually deal with it. You just throw it into this little bit and your glass. And every time you do that, your glass fills up and fills up and fills up. And then eventually you can't actually throw any more in there. And it starts to spew it out in adrenaline. And I started to have loads of health issues, like with my face and arm and underneath my arm. And I was backwards and forwards to the doctors in a hospital for 12 months. I had ultrasounds and blood tests and MRIs and CTs, everything negative. And nothing came back with anything conclusive. And so the only thing that I could logically put that down to then was maybe it was a psychological thing and maybe it was a mental block of something. And I went to go and see. I had some counselling and coaching through it and worked through it really quickly within like sort of 3 sessions. It was just like light bulb moments where I went, crikey, yeah, like confrontation, I don't like doing that. And oh my God, yeah, perfectionism, that's me. But that's the worst thing for you because you're never happy with what you're doing. So I'd gone through that before COVID, and I put myself in a really good position. And in that first lockdown, I'd lost loads of weight and got really fit. So I think I was in quite a strong place physically and mentally. If I hadn't been, I think it would have affected me a lot worse. Sam I knew and I'd spent some time with in Canada working and instantly clicked with him and really liked him. And when I found out about Sam, you know, it upset me. It really upset me because it was just sort of out of the blue. And it wasn't until sort of speaking to more people like Mark Payton and that I'd realised that he'd had issues with this, you know, for a while. But Giovanni, God, that broke my heart. That was out of the blue, totally out of the blue. Yeah, dealing with that was difficult, really difficult, and especially with the team as well. The whole team, we were all so close to him, and close to his family as well, and so to watch his family go through that and see what that had done to them, and the amount of messages that were pouring in, it was just horrible waste of life, and I 100% never would have happened if we weren't in the pandemic, either of them.
Yeah,
because they're both working by themselves. You know, they both set up their own businesses and working all day by themselves, going back at night in the lockdown. Giovanni loved to be around people. You know, he was a big sort of gym goer and kickboxing, and I think that was a big release for him. So him not being able to do any of that and not be able to have, you know, all his friends round and it was just gut wrenching, absolutely gut wrenching.
it is, and do you know what? I think. I don't think just because of what happened there, but I think what I've tried to do as well is, you know, with Carl Smith, and you know, people we've kind of, like, when it's been safe to do so, we've spent a lot of time together through lockdown just to keep everybody's spirits up together, because I know, you know, I'm gonna lighten it up a little bit on this one, because I have to say, and I know Big Jill will be watching us, is Joth phoned me about Giovanni Gary, and I was doing those team talks what I did for your shop, and we did some, and he phoned me 8 minutes before I went live at 12 o'clock. And Joth, you know, I'm like a machine. I was absolutely deviled when he told me about G. And you went in it, and I think when you're doing stuff like that, you go into overdrive, and I went into overdrive, and it was almost like afterwards, you know, when you've gone to sleep at night, you've woke up, you've had a bad dream, and you wake up, and it's not a bad, it's just a dream. After I finished that seminar for that hour, I was like, he didn't phone me and just tell me that, did he? And it was kind of like weird, because I just got into that overdrive to do that seminar, because it was like, literally, I said to you, I think I got 10 minutes before I did it. So I have put you down, Joth, now as the worst motivational speaker ever in history to give me a pep talk before we do. And listen, he isn't, because he's such a kind, generous person, and we've spent lots of time together. You're getting lots of love coming in, Joth, Matt Walters, Rick Roberts, Ross Carter, Nikos Nicasso, Alison Brown, all sending their love into you, telling you what a great guy you are, and how fantastic it is. Look, tough times. Moving on though, you've got a new business now, which, you know, I think if we look at it and we're really honest, it's really cool. And I know you've bought the premises, so that's a little bit different to most barbers would do. But it's round about where barbers would be when they leave a big shop like Savills. They would open up something like Bricky Row, a 2 or 3 seater salon in a block of shops. That's where you start. Has it felt like going back to, I know you bought the premises, so it's slightly different, so you're the landlord as well as operated it, but has it felt like going back to those roots compared to the big city centre?
It's been really nice, actually, and I think for lots of different reasons, but it's also been really stressful at the same time. And so I decided, actually, with a conversation with Giovanni the year before the pandemic, and with Emma, who's my then manager at Savills, who's been with me for 12 years, and then I said, look, I kind of, like, I've been away for so long and working away, and obviously not been around the shop. When I am, I'm like in and out like a blue house fly, and I want to be at home a bit more and around the family, and so I want to open up some shops, but I want to do something, you know, with you guys and something to give you back. So my idea behind it was to have some shops in the suburbs, and then have the guys that have been working for me, you know, for a long time and looking after the shop, and basically give them an opportunity to sort of, you know, run their own shop, essentially, in almost like a sort of a franchise way. So basically they'll go in, they manage the shop, and they manage the team in there, and they take a percentage of the shop, and then depending on, you know, what and how much or how little they want to do depends on, how much of a share of the business they can, acquire or want to acquire. So, and therefore it's giving them something to sort of aim towards and something to sort of move into, as opposed to just feeling like they're being stuck behind the chair in the shop for the whole time. And then, so we were already looking around for something, before the pandemic, and then the pandemic hit, and I was like, God, well, that's really sort of scuppered that. I don't know whether doing a shop now is probably the right move, and spending all that money when we've got everything going out and nothing coming in. And obviously the shop that you saw, Simon, that you came to see me, is Bricky Row, and it's in a great location, quite really close to where I live. And there was no other barbers nearby, so no other competition to speak of. Ideal parking, really affluent area. It just seemed to make sort of really good sense to sort of do that. And I know not only that, but even if it didn't work, because we were obviously purchasing the property, then we could always then if we sort of wanted to. But then I massively underestimated just how busy it was going to be. I literally opened that shop. I say
the day we came, you were fully booked. You can only spend like 5 minutes with us. You just fully booked all the time.
Well, I expected it to be like every other lockdown. First 2-3 weeks, mega busy, and then it would go quiet. So I thought, that's the best place to plonk me down, because I can take a bit of a wage from the other shop and a bit from here. And I can sit there on my laptop when customers can't come in, and I can get on top of stuff, and it'll give me time to do it. Literally from the 12th of April until today, I've been fully booked every day. And I mean, like no spaces at all, just rammed every single day from the 12th of April. And it's got busier and busier and busier and busier. And
you've got totally getting international barbers in there, so it's going to be busy, isn't it? I mean,
Well, it's funny, but look, being behind the chair and cutting hair, we can all cut hair. It's all really good, but I know that's where I'm at my best. Behind the chair, looking after customers, retaining customers, getting customers to come in, getting customers to speak to other customers. That's always what I've been really good at, building a very loyal clientele very quickly. But I never expected it to be on this level, and I think there's a lot of sort of combinations of, I've been in the industry for 35 years, and I know it really well inside out, and I know my job really well. So I was always going to be really good at getting customers to come back. But another one was just, there's nothing really anywhere near that competition wise. And then you then add into the fact that there's so many people now working from home, and it was so convenient for them, and even more so because they expected us to be a walk-in service, and we're not. We're by appointment. So you factor in all those sort of things, and it's just turned into a really busy shop. And then before you know it, I thought, I need somebody with me on a weekend, and now I've got somebody with me full time. So there's two of us in there working, in a really short space of time. It's pretty good, and it's nice that we are, because that's kind of balanced off what's going off in town, because town is so.
There's no distractions there, though, no, is there?
There's no what?
Like in town centre. I always think, Gary, there's always distractions when you're working in city centre. It's like where Joth's place is Derbyshire Street, into Division Street, Derbyshire Street, and there's loads of there's the Forum across the road that we normally go and have breakfast in. There's loads of restaurants and bars and people. There's distractions. It's easy to go out for lunch. I think when you work back out in the subs and stuff, and especially where is in Totley, it's that's it. You're there. You're doing good haircuts, good customer service. People are just rebooking again, next, same again. Good haircuts, good service, good personal care. The rebook next, and it's a big difference from a city centre. The feel's different, isn't it?
Well, it is, yeah, and I have sort of really enjoyed it, and enjoyed being back behind the chair, because I haven't been back behind the chair like that for probably 5-6 years. Flat out every day, all day, fully booked. you know, I was sort of dipping in and out of it before, and I'd do it, you know, and the haircuts that I were doing were usually sort of mates of mine or really old customers. So I'd probably only do like maybe 2 or 3 in a day here and there. So to be back behind the chair, solidly booked, killed my back for the first couple of weeks till I sort of, you know, got myself into a better situation with that, and I got used to it quite quickly. But the frustration of that for me, and where the stress comes from, is then I felt like I'm trapped in my own business, because I couldn't do anything else, because all I was doing was cutting hair behind the chair, and I couldn't run the business in town, and I couldn't really run that business. And, you know, and I was so tired at the end of the day by the time I'm done, you know, I wasn't doing all the other stuff. So loads of stuff has taken a back seat. Obviously, the stuff, anything to do with the products has taken a massive back seat, and all the social media has taken a back seat. I've hardly done anything with that at all, barely touched it, lifted a finger to it. And I kind of, you know, I'm almost looking quite negative towards that sort of that type of thing now. Where I was
just saying to Gary earlier, Gary's obviously different, sits on different boards and chairs and stuff like that, and normally breaks them when he sits on them. But because obviously he's so busy as well in his shop. I was just saying to him earlier before we started, how do you keep on with all your Zoom meetings and your calls and stuff? Because obviously he has to do that, which is, you know, it's very difficult, but it is hard. I think I find it tough. I couldn't do it. Gaz needs to do seminars. Gaz, you do need to do these seminars, and I'm going to name them. I'm going to market them. It's called the Machin. The Machin is that you can have 25 pints a day. You can go and cut hair. You can do your Zooms. You can be chair of the Barber Council, and you can still smile and still look glamorous like you do. The Machin courses are the future.
You know what? I mean, Rachel, I mean, can you imagine adding into that as well, working away, you know, in around the world for 130 or 140 days a year as well? It's just, when I look back at your previous life, if you think, just because it's made you really, really look at your life and what you did. I mean, Rachel will have a completely different take on this. She, when we did the first lockdown, she said, "Do you realise this is the longest you've been at home in one continuous spot for, you know, for years and years?" And even in this country, we travel, don't we? So the one thing I wanted to ask you, Joth, is exactly, we get asked this by loads and loads of different people, and we had Jake on last week. He was really honest about opening another location. Didn't work out. He said that sometimes, you know, and especially if you have multiple locations, we've got 6, we've got the academy. Luckily, we've got great staff. It is really hard for your business to run the same when you're not there, isn't it? Obviously, you talked about not being behind the chair. I'm a great believer. If you're going to educate, you need to be current. You need to be behind the chair as well. People who disagree with that will agree with that, but you've still got to feel, working with young staff, working with the general public, it keeps you young, doesn't it? It keeps you're current. You're definitely current. Do you think that that's been a negative in the past, or you're probably taking your eye off the ball a little bit? But Savills has been so successful anyway. That's one question. But you just said it, getting back to basics, and you feel almost trapped within the salon because you're a victim of your own success. And I think this is all of us in the past. But I made a conscious decision. I want to get into education to take control of staff training, and everything just snowballed. I know Simon's very driven. He got this, you know, he almost looked into the future and said, "This is where I want to be." I've never been like that. I think it's been quite, I got asked to do a lot of things, got asked into different situations, and it just snowballed into those areas. But I think from your point of view, and you've got so many facets of your business as well, it's very hard to keep all the balls in the air all at the same time, isn't it? And almost when you're behind the chair, it's almost, I just got to turn up, do the work, but then you realise what else you're missing as well a little bit. So you know, from a younger person, a younger self, if you like, what would you give them as the, you know, if you want 1 or 2 points of where you've gone wrong or what you've done really right, to give them the information that they can make that transition, if you like, keep all the balls in the air, if you like.
Yeah, well, I like you, Gary, I never really sort of planned anything that far ahead, and obviously all I was doing was cutting in the shop and growing the business, and the business grew and grew, and then, like you said, you know, with the staffing thing, that we were taking on more and more apprentices, and then from the academy doing that, teach people in there to bring people up through the ranks that way, and we, you know, that worked for us for a time as well. I think, you know, if I won't call it a regret. I don't think I ever really have regrets. I don't think, and I think it's quite negative. I feel it's quite negative to call it a regret. I just think it's a decision that you made at the time that you thought that was right. It's taking you down a path, and then you soon find out whether that path's right or not, don't you? And then you go, all right, okay, well, now I've learned that was not the thing to do, so I'm not going to do it anymore. And that's how you learn, isn't it? You know, you make mistakes and you rectify them for the better. I think we've had a lot of bad luck with the products, with manufacturing and things like that, and that's burnt up a lot of time and energy with packaging and everything that entails. And I could go on and on about that. So I would think, you know, if I could go back and do that again, would I do that? I don't know whether I would. You know, I had as well, you know, with the Savills, with the shop, with the training, with the academy and everything else, it was another thing. And you know, and obviously I've got my wife, Annabelle, who works in the company, and without her, there's no way that would have continued. That would have been dropped, you know, a long time ago. She's the one that sort of kept that going, and all the other stuff in the background. She's, you know, fiercely organised, and her background is HR and recruitment, and so without Annabelle there, that thing probably would have you know, got started or even moved to where it is to now. So yeah, I think it's just taking stock of what you've got and then looking at what's really important to you. But it's easy to say that after the fact when you're in it and it's happening. And we had all this big, you know, social media following with the Facebook and Instagram, and we were just going, well, what's it all for? We got to use it for something. And the academy was already busy anyway, so the products thing just seemed like the next thing to do, but it might not necessarily have been the right thing to do. But who's to know? If I had done that, would we have done something else? You just don't know. But you know, I'm happy where I am at the moment. I'm really enjoying being at the shop. I miss the guys at Savills. I mean, I try and get there on a Monday, because we shut one shop on the Monday, and I just need another barber now. I'm looking for another barber that I can just get part-time to cover me a couple of days in Bricky Row, and then I'll be really happy then, because it'll give me 2 days in one shop, 2 days in the other, and then it'll give me a day free to be in the office and sort of float around. And it will happen, you know. We'll get there, and it's just like anyone's business at the moment. It's frustrating for everyone all around, and you know, Gary,
it's frustrating.
When you're behind the chair and you're speaking to customers all day long, they're all having the same frustrations. And
it's frustrating for the big companies as well. You know, we had, you know, we only had 1 month of total shutdown, which was the month of April last year, where all factories closed down. But obviously, in that period of April, the whole 7 factories didn't manufacture for 30 days. But in those 30 days, we had global sales records across the globe. So it wasn't that 1 month we stopped production. We sold 4 or 5 months stock in those so we were actually 6 months behind. So we've been the same. Education's has not been the same. You know, the whole office environments are all different. You know, it'd break your heart, both of you, both been down to the fantastic building at Wahl UK, and you walk into the visitor centre now, and it's halved off. It's all glass partitions. It's very tastefully done. But that first area there is a COVID testing centre that's registered. So, you know, people can just pop in there for it's a COVID testing centre. It's just heartbreaking when you walk around this beautiful building that or so proud of to show off that you walk in now and after and I'm like, please tell me this is going to go away eventually. Please tell me that we're going to have this beautiful space again with all our museum stock and everything around. You know, it's tough for everybody. Joth, finishing off, I just want to finish off on some positives as well. Looking at, there's a lot of young staff there. First of all, what are you drinking anyway? People say, what are you drinking tonight? What are you drinking?
Well, I've been drinking a Corona, and then I've got myself some Japanese blended Scotch whiskey.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh, very nice.
Have a little drop
Very
of that
nice.
with you.
What are you drinking, Gary?
I'm on Alvis juice tonight.
Joe, I really liked that last week. We had an IPA Brewdog week last week, Joth, and it was really nice.
Yeah.
Very nice, very nice. Just before we move on to this last question, I just want to pass my congratulations on to Rick Roberts, who got nominated again for the Afro Hairdresser of the Year. Well done, Rick. He won that last year. Big follower of Barbers Arms and a great part of the Wahl team as well. So congratulations, Rick. I know you're watching tonight.
And also, he's Images as well. He's been nominated twice this year.
Yes, he's done well. In fact, I was at the studio on Monday with the fellowship that he normally uses, the Works in Parsons Green. It's really good studio. Joth, just for a moment as well. Well, I know you've been a big supporter of Barbers Arms. You've been watching it. Who's been kind of like your favourite week? One of your favourite guests that you've seen on Barbers Arms?
Well, Rob and Lee are always entertaining to watch, and what they've got to talk about, and so that was good fun the other week. I love Johnny Barber. He's always great fun to watch. Tells it as he sees it. It was nice to see Killian on and doing so well with the Wahl Barber of the Year thing. So yeah, I'm quite a few there, I think. Yeah.
Do you know what, Joth? I think that was the last time I saw you. You know, when we did the Leeds show.
Yeah.
And we ended up going out after it. I mean, that was in between, wasn't it? That was when we were allowed out, and we did and we had a really frank talk as well there, didn't we? You know, Johnny was there and quite a few other people, and I think that was the actual last time that we actually saw each other. I don't think we've been out since then, have we? Have you been out since, Simon?
Me and Josh showed our lightweight situation that night. We were both like, for the last half an hour of the drink session, we were both like, come on, we need to get a taxi back to the hotel. We were both like, we're not massive drinkers, so we're not like the Machin.
I stayed up with Glenn, if you remember. We were all in the same hotel.
Oh, Matt Glennon, yeah, you did. Yeah, he talked a good story, didn't he? he can talk the hind legs off. Well, you were listening to him, but me and Joff looked at you at one point and you were asleep, stood up.
That's a lie. That's
the truth. That's the truth. You were sat at the table, you were fast asleep, but you're fully engaged in the conversation like that. Yeah. I'm like, Gazzy, all right, gonna go to bed. Nah, I'm gonna stay here for another 7 or 8 cans.
Just before he gets his last word in, because I know we're running out of time. What's the Bricky Lane salon name?
Bricky Row.
Ricky Row.
Bricky Row.
So Bricky Row.
Bricky Row, because the row of shops. The tunnel that goes between Sheffield and Manchester, the train tunnel, the guys that built the tunnel in the 18th century, whatever it was, lived on that row of shops there, and that's why they nicknamed it Bricky Row.
All right. So you heard it here tonight. Anybody who wants to work with Joth, there's a job going there, part-time or full-time, depending on what caliber you are. Bricky Row.
We could ask a secret here, what do you look for in an interview? But obviously we'll have thousands of views this week, so we'd hate to give it away what you should be saying on an interview, because that could be like, got a perfect candidate here, and after 2 weeks, he or she turns out to be a pot leg. So we're not going to ask that question. Josh, to finish off with, what's the next 12, 18 months? You know, like Gav says, I'm very driven. I'm even down to that point now where, excuse me, if somebody says to me, what's your 5-year plan? I ain't got one. My plan will be to get us to the end of this year, Salon International, rebuilding training, rebuilding confidence for wholesalers to have training, rebuilding, you know, the online training facilities that we have. So there's no 5-year plan. You know, I'm working 6 months to 12 months max. So what's your 12-month plan?
So, well, get Savills back on track. When the students are back, probably September, October, we'll see like a massive difference. It'll be 75,000 people turn up. Furlough finishes. Hopefully that'll bring a few more people back into the offices in town, and we'll see what difference that makes to the shop then. Hopefully that should be better. So my aim then is to then start taking on some apprentices and start training again and teaching up, getting the academy kicked off again. And then also then start looking around for another shop in the suburbs, in another suburb somewhere out of town. That's probably my next 12-month plan.
Fantastic.
Well, you heard it here first on Barbers Arms. If anybody's looking for partnership with this young man, or you wanting to get involved in the Savills partnership and the franchise, then speak to Joth as well. I'm sure you don't need any partners, but I'm sure if there's any really keen and eager beavers out there, then it's time to get these fantastic businesses like Savills back on the main roads as well. You know, Joth, you're a really good mate of mine, pal. I love you to death. It's been a tough 12 months for you, mate. I know it has. And I know it has been for everybody, but I know individually you've took a lot of stuff personally and a lot of stuff to heart. And this is why we wanted you on tonight, to share that story. I hope everybody who watches tonight, if you're watching in your man cave tomorrow, if you're watching it in your shed, Eric Landau cuts his garden or does his garden while he's listening to this. That's a real honest interview from one of the leading barber presenters in the world, Joth Davies. Thanks for coming on, pal. I'll speak to you over the weekend, but God bless to you.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Joth, it's been a pleasure, sir. Hopefully we'll meet up very soon. If not earlier, we'll see you at Salon International, I'm sure.
Okay, mate. See you soon. Thanks, guys.
See you, mate.
See you, brother.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Guys, I think when you get people on for the second time, there's a different feel to the interview because you're not telling them the ropes. You're not telling them what Barbers Arms is about. There's no gimmicky like questions. He's straight to it, and I think tonight we're like straight to it. Where are we? Where are you? And I think that was really honest. I really enjoyed that. It's flown as well. It's like nearly 9:05. It's really honest.
I know, and you know what? It will. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people out there that'll be, you know, thinking and hearing exactly what they've gone through as well. For us, it hasn't been a city centre problem. I know we work in London a lot. We've been into London since. I know some of the London salons and the big city salons have been really struggling. And I don't know if you saw it in the papers. Some staff are taking their employers to court because they've been made to go back into the office. I mean, you couldn't write it, could you? You know, what's that, mate?
I'm just trying to put some up there. Can't get it up. We can't do it. I'm going to toilet break.
All right. Okay, mate.
Sorry,
But, you know, there's businesses out there that are struggling because of footfall. And the footfall in some of the, you know, our bigger cities has been down. You know, we were down with Mark Wally down in London. You know, he's got businesses around him. He's got Facebook offices, 2,000 people, you know, across the road from him. I think there's 10 people in the offices at the moment. So there is difficult times. I'm sure they're going to come back into the office. But from a market town or in the suburbs, as they put it, you know, those shops are probably faring a little bit better. We're really busy at the moment. It's something that we've prided ourselves in: great service, quality, value for money, if you like, as well. And you build that relationship as well. So with a bit of luck, you know, it will be coming back. The staffing will be coming back into the major cities as well. But it's consumer confidence at the same time. So with a bit of luck, we will get back to where we are. I think certain things will change, and it won't. You know, we won't go back to how certain things are. I think the way we work, we will not go back to a walk-in service anymore. We will do walk-ins at certain times of the day for certain members of staff. But what I did want to, and I'm going to come on to this as well with our next guest, is the training side of things, because we have never, ever been so busy on the training with the academy, especially apprentices. So hopefully that isn't just because of the bursary that's available from the government at the moment, but we only work with quality providers as well, or quality barbershops. So, you know, I'm sure that isn't the case, but so that means that, you know, companies are building, they are investing. So, and we'll bring that up with Rhys, because I know he's been doing some work in colleges and stuff.
We need it in. So I think we're going to go over to our local hero here. I think this young man is making a big sound in the industry as well. He's making some big noises on Instagram and social media. I kind of like his work as well. He's on our radar. He's coming from the famous Dale Ince salon as well in Shrewsbury. Dale was a finalist on our Barber of the Year, Gary, if you remember. Did really well as well, Dale. And again, you know, his name came up the other day in a conversation I had with Alan Beak. Without further ado, though, let's please welcome on Barbers Arms, episode 63, here on the 30th of July, live from Shrewsbury in the Dale Ince salon. Please give a warm welcome to the one and only Mr. Rhys Whitehouse.
Hi guys, you okay? Thank you. How are you all doing? You all right?
We're very well, young man. How are you?
I'm very hot. There's not a lot of air conditioning in here, and it gets really muggy. So it's a warm one. So I'm not on the beer tonight. I'm designated driver.
Well, I'm going to say before we start, Rhys, loved it last week on Facebook. You were sat in a bar, and you took some videos of a guy singing "Come On Eileen," and then no wait, let me finish. Then he did the famous Wahl song that we had this 5 years ago at Sal International. And every year we get the audience rocking. And then England's used it. And then he sang Sweet Caroline. But in the background, all I could hear was your voice, not anybody else's voice.
Do you know what? That's the first time I've been out in God knows how long. And normally I don't really like going out. But it's one of those where I think we just sort of walked past the pub where I was out with my missus and her parents. And I think we were just looking for something quiet, to be honest. And then we found it was a nice pub, and it sold very cheap booze. So it sort of became a night thing, and then ended up with me throwing up at 5 a.m.
All I can say there, Rhys, is what a waste.
That's it. Do you know what I mean? That's it. I think it was the Chinese afterwards that I wasted more than the booze, to be honest.
Oh, of course. It was nothing to do with that last bite.
No, not at all.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show, mate. And all I can say is tell Dale he's tight if he hasn't got it. Working in these conditions is not right without air conditioning. So
he's a good egg. Do you know what it is? To be honest, we've got a window. So the shop that we're in, it's in like an old it's like an old war hospital in Shrewsbury, because Shrewsbury is like a really medieval town. It keeps a lot of its old culture. And we're in Ward, what is Ward 9. That was the maternity ward. And the thing is, there's still like bars in the windows and stuff, and it's got so much character to it, and it's fantastic. The problem is, it's only got a little window, and we've got this fan, and obviously hair gets blown around everywhere, and you're sort of half waiting for days like this for it to come round. But there's no point installing air conditioning for what little summer that we do have. Do you know what I mean?
I disagree there, and all my staff would probably, if I took the aircon out now, they'd probably kill me. I will admit though, the aircon in the pub, they used to call, you know, I bet you can't even remember this, but when you used to be able to smoke in the pub, I'm a non-smoker, and they used to say, oh, my nickname was Monster, so they used to say, oh, Monster's come in, he's put the air conditioner on. I used to wedge the front door open so I could get into the pub, and the smoke dissipate all the smoke in the pub. So air conditioning back in the day was the front door open anyway.
What I always found weird about that is when you walk into a restaurant and there was an area that was no smoking, as if the smoke would just stop at that point. It wouldn't make any sense to me at all. Wouldn't make any sense. You can always smell it.
In our local pub, when back in the day where you could smoke, it used to look. You walked in and it was like a Turkish bath. You couldn't see the other side of the room. Anyway, yeah. I'm sure Sam will remember this as well. Anyway,
it's a bit before my time. I think remember we were a cleaner in local working men's club when you were all out drinking, and I used to go with her whilst you were cleaning. But yeah, I can remember the walls being yellow, and also. Do you not find that your clothes smell different now when you've come out, when you used to go into places where you come back and you're like, even if you didn't smoke, your clothes would just reek of it. Anyway, that's that. Rhys, it's great to have you on Barbers Arms, mate. I think you're one of the new kids on the block. You're making a big splash there. I know you've been entering our awards, and the Wahl Barber of the Year is, again, ready for entry at the end of this month. So I'd love to see entries in for that as well. Before we move on as well, guys, I just want to say, obviously, you'll see Joth's Instagrams and stuff on the screen, and also Rhys's social media. I'm Sammy Shaw, Wahl, Gaz is the British Barber. Barber_Arms is our social media. On our website, it's the barbersarms.co.uk. And if you want to email us, it is barbersarms@the British Barber. Them's our social media accounts. Rhys, tell everybody, though, looking at you and where you are and where you've bursted. Well, I'm not going to say that because Mika Richards said that once in front of Roy Keane when I burst onto the scene. And you've never really met me in person, but if you sat there and said when I burst onto the scene, I'm like, really? Did you really burst onto the scene? So I'll rephrase that, though. Making your name in the industry. See how clever I did that?
There you
go. How would you describe Rhys Whitehouse? What would you describe yourself as?
I mean, in general, or sort of where I'm at now? Just
the way that people are seeing you as a barber, you know, in the profession. How do you describe yourself? What's your style? What's your
I guess I'm that guy that's probably all over Instagram like a rash at the minute. I try and make myself everywhere as much as possible. Try and keep myself as busy as possible. I don't know. To be honest, I've been doing this only for 5 years. I only joined Hinces back in January 2020, and we all know how that went. So there's sort of been a short period of time, because prior to that I was managing a shop in a town over for about 3 years, and I couldn't really sort of find my roots, find my sort of find my style there, so to speak. So I'd say I'd like to. It's a difficult one because I don't really like to sort of pigeonhole, but I'd say I'm very much about the sort of new styles. Skin fades, obviously. Crops are massive. I get a lot of crops coming in the chair. So yeah, I'd sort of like to sort of generalise myself as probably, if you ask, a senior Instagram barber, if I'm perfectly honest with you. But
do you know we had Dale on there. I'm sure you watched the show when he came on, and he was very honest. You know, he was very honest. You know, he told us about how, you know, he'd almost fell out of love with the job. He questioned whether he wanted to stay in the job. And he sent us some lovely messages after, saying, you know, he got you know, almost inspired again to take the mantle up again. I know you guys have been doing some education. I know he was really keen on getting into the education scene as well. You've been doing some bits and bobs with Shrewsbury College, haven't you? You've already done one.
Yeah.
You've already done one seminar. I think you're due to do another workshop, aren't you?
Yeah, literally just announced it yesterday. Yeah, we just announced that yesterday. That's quite cool, actually. Obviously, this is a very underregulated industry. We all know that. It's one of those where, you know, we like that sort of crossover. A lot of what Men's Spy are doing, we really like that crossover between hairdressing and barbering. You know, we are, obviously, Dale has a lot of accolades to his name. The shop's got a lot of accolades to their name, and it's sort of, you know, we get a lot of people coming up to us going, oh, can we have an apprenticeship? Can we do this? Can we do that? What's quite nice is, because we work so closely with the college, is that we can sort of see firsthand what people see. There's even tutors there, which is quite nice to see as well. Because I remember when I was doing my MBQ level 2, they fill you full of such confidence, and it's amazing what they do. You do get filled with such confidence, and they wrap you up in cotton wool. The problem is, as soon as you step into that barber environment, I found that it was a sink or swim sort of thing for me. So the first place I stepped into after my apprenticeship, it was a case of, right, okay, well, I'm going to do this for 4 days a week for free. I'm going to, I did that for months. I drove town over to do it for free, just to learn, just to get better. And the thing is, what we sort of want to see with these colleges is, we sort of want to cut out that middleman, cut out that sort of, let's make the mistakes and kind of go, all right, well, we're here, you're there. We'll do this for free for the college if you want. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, when people, people can obviously pay to come on the day as well. But it's just something giving back. I mean, I knew I always wanted to sort of go into the education side of things, to be perfectly honest. And I know Dale did as well. I mean, when I started here with Dale, my aspirations have never been owning a shop. It's never been sort of anything like that, which is generally the natural progression of things. It's always been about education, really. I mean, even prior to wanting to be a barber, I think my route was teaching. So it's nice to actually be able to have that platform, and I think we take a lot of pride in that platform as well. We take a lot of pride where that's concerned, because obviously our shop is so busy, and I'd like to think that we kick out a lot of good work. We're all very proud of our work, and obviously when people see that, they want to learn from us, and we're really,
lots of competition. I can imagine in there with you two. Dale's building his career. You're trying to build your career. I think you were very, very close last year, getting through to the finals as well. So listen, mate, I want you to enter this year as well. We're going to ask you if you can get and give us a little look round Hinces while we're there. If you can get the camera and give us a little look round. We're looking.
Yeah, so I will sort of pick it up.
Since we've been in there, just while you're doing that, give a big shout out. Guys, one of my pals you've met him, Tom Cass. Cass is sat at home watching us tonight. He's all lonely. And he just said, can you send out a message to all the young female barbers out there? He's single and he's ready to mingle. So if you want to follow Thomas Cassie on his Facebook, you can do that. He's just had a beautiful hair transplant. He's all buffed up, ready to go. He looks the business, so he's all ready to date. Back over to you, Rhys, while we have a look round your shop.
So that's my corner. That's why I tend to do most things. I've just had everything set up with a ring light, just because I like to look my best. Do you know what I mean? So that's Andy. That's our other guy that's working here. We took him on in December, and he's absolutely flying. That's Dale's chair. That's him himself. Obviously, he likes to have the big green wall. He only has to water that once a week, apparently. And we have literally just taken on a new guy as well, who starts on the 10th, and that's the reception. Well, we also have a load of products, and Dale's just started buying t-shirts as well.
Let's have a look at a t-shirt. Let's have a look at a t-shirt while we're there.
Yeah, how's that? So to be honest, these are a really nice fit. They're a little bit oversized, and they're selling really nicely, to be honest. And I think it's confusing a lot of people, to be honest, especially around the town, because as they're walking around, people think they work for us. So,
Simon, he said they're oversized, so you might get in one of them.
I knew you were going to say that. I'll let honestly, before I say it, we'll be looking forward to an Hinces t-shirt being sent to me and Gaz anyway, Rhys.
Absolutely. Don't ask me about that. Speak to Dale about that.
Rhys, when you send us our free t-shirts, can I have a medium, please?
Absolutely. We've got loads of them. Everyone here seems to be a fat bastard, to be honest.
No, I don't know who he's going to fucking give that to.
It looks a fantastic shop, matey. I'm sure you're as busy as ever. Just one thing, just going back to, you said you've been in the industry, for a little while. It's 5 years. You've been with the guys, coming up to 2 in January of 22. What drew you to Hinces in the first place, and what actually brought you into the barbering industry?
I started my apprenticeship. Basically, I was sort of involved in chefing. I did a little bit of music here and there. I was signed to a record label back in the day, and my drummer at the time was a barber. He actually owns his own barbershop in Birmingham, which is Black Arrow Barbers, which is on the Coventry Road. And he trained with people like Pac-Man, he trained with Josh O.P., he trained with Cal Newsom. So obviously he was very passionate about what he was doing, and that sort of, obviously I was listening to that and I was like, that's quite cool. Pretty much as soon as I left the record label, I ended up back in Shrewsbury. About 3 days later, I got a call from, weirdly enough, I got a call from a salon. And they just offered me an apprenticeship, and I thought, well, do you know what? Yeah, all right, why not? So I've just been doing it since then, and it's one of those where I just couldn't sort of drop it, couldn't leave it behind, and yeah. So the apprenticeship, obviously, apprenticeships when you're, I think, how old was I? 23. Apprenticeships when you're 23 are a tumultuous thing, because you're a bit too old to make tea, but you're a bit too young in the industry to be doing haircuts. So yeah, I think I had a bit of a realization.
Oh no! If you were an apprentice in our shop, you'd still be making tea.
Well, that's it. I soon found that out. I sort of walked away from being on stages, and suddenly I was making tea for old beers. So it was that was humbling. I have to admit, that was humbling.
Who's been your role model then, as you've been working through this period? Who's been your role model in the barbering industry?
Do you know what? It's changed. It's varied. It's been dependent. I like to take things from a lot of people. You know, I like to keep an open mind. I like to sort of take a lot. I mean, obviously, I'm going to say Dale. I know he's going to probably hit the WhatsApp now, like, because I know Dale's watching this at the minute, so Dale's obviously going to rinse me for that. So I'm going to say Dale, obviously. Now, basically, that's what drew me to him. He won Britain's Best Barber, which was a barber competition in 2019. That was common knowledge around the time. And it sort of made sense, rather than jumping from barbershop to barbershop who were sort of competing against each other. It made more sense just to go for the big dog at the time. And I basically sat down with him and said, listen, you've just got a new, because at the time he just done a look and learn with Trevor Moots through Taylor Fades, because he'd just come over from America, and Dale had just set up this new shop, and he'd moved over from another shop, and he was here with another guy, and I noticed a third mirror, and I don't really take too many chances. I've started to now, but then I just sort of put the boat out, and I wasn't happy where I was, and I was like, right, Dale, I want to jump in with you because I'm not happy where I am now. So since then, obviously, you know, Dale's been very much a role model for me. But it varies. Like there's different role models. For example, it depends on who you see. I mean, I remember, to be honest, Simon, I remember watching you in 2018 when I was at Barber Connect. That was amazing. It's quite surreal talking to you now, to be perfectly honest. And there was so there's a guy called Brody Rayside who owns Heavy Hands in Ilkeston, I think it's pronounced. He used to be part of Ghost Barbershop. His shapes are incredible. Yeah. We have a lot of conversations. There's a guy. I think he's. I'm gonna attempt his name. He's Hungarian. He's in Scotland, and I think his name is Enai Ballo or something like that. And I found him on Instagram, and I think the guy has amazing shape. So it's dependent. Like there's a guy called Nunes. Not really too sure where he's based out of, but some of his weight lines, some of his shapes take a lot of influence from that. So it's a lot of various people. I mean, obviously, when I was younger, and you know, it was a lot of Dale. You know, there was Cal Newsom because he was just up the road from us, and I'll speak to Cal every now and again. Now it's there's just been a lot of varying sort of inspiration. I suppose that's who your main mentor is at the time, I suppose. Yeah,
of course. I think you've got like lots of people who've influenced your career, and you've been to all demonstrations and shows and stuff, and you know, if you watch Gaz shave as well, I'm sure you'd say Gaz as well from what he does when he does his shaving stuff. It's really educational and superb, and also when he does his cutting as well. What's your favourite Wahl clipper?
Do you know what? I think you're going to love me for this. I've got and I've used it for the past 3 years, and I'll actually show you.
Fucking let's keep his fingers crossed, Gaz.
So,
Gamma.
So no, it's not Gamma. So I've got a 2019 Barber Connect limited edition.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and there was only 250 of them made. It's got obviously ever since grip, ever since blades, and I resoldered the motor to that, so that's got a senior motor in it, so it runs faster. And I don't know how I managed to do that, but it runs amazingly, and I still use it now.
Just to let you know, that over the years and over maybe a 15-year period, we fetched out very limited edition lids. Is there still, if that's a super taper or a magic lid, it's just a lid that's different for an exhibition and what have you. But there was one guy, I think it was in South Wales, that had got 6 in premier condition. None had been used.
Yeah.
There was a George's Cross super taper corded one. There was the 100-year anniversary clipper. There was a dragon clipper that we had. There were 6 in a collection, and he sold them for, I think, £3,500. Now, when I looked at it online, I thought face value when he bought them, he's probably paid about £650 for them. So it just shows you when you hang on to stuff. I always say to people at exhibitions, especially with companies like ours that's been around for years and years, is that when you get a limited edition, if you fancy it, buy one, but try and buy one and keep one.
Yeah.
I've always done that myself. I always go and buy a 100-year anniversary clipper and never use it. I buy the first edition senior and never use it. I just think they're nice collector's items. Not that I'm ever going to cash in, unless you fancy buying them, guys. But
do you know what? Do you know what my biggest regret is from when I started was keeping my very first clipper and my very first pair of scissors. You know, I mean, it's 38 years ago, 37.
I've still got my first pair of scissors. And my other half's mum actually has my first pair of clippers because she does a little bit from home. So I thought you may as well hold on to these. And they were Wahl legends. They were.
But the thing is, back then, like 37 years ago, you know, all I wanted to do was cut hair and drink beer. So not a lot.
Not a lot's changed.
Not a lot's changed really. But I wish.
I agree with that.
You know, it's just one. Can you remember when the anniversary, the first seniors come out, and you were having the first 200? I think it was the first 100 or 250 engraved.
I think we had 250 that weekend, and I think it was the first 30 sold each day. You could get them engraved because the engraver were doing them by hand, so they weren't on a machine. I think for the 100-year anniversary, we had a guy there with a machine. It was a bit quicker. But the first one, he were doing them by hand. So
I know.
The first 30 bought each day, because 30 would give him a full day's work.
Can't time by the end of the day. Like.
I bought a pair. Can you remember what you asked him to put on my clippers? And your PA at the time said to me, I am not selling them to Gary if you put that on his clippers. And in the end, you put the king on.
Yeah, I still got mine though. I've still got the senior. Listen to this, Rhys. You'll love this.
Yeah.
Because at some point when I retire, I might sell it. And it's the first ever cordless senior off production that was sold in the UK. And it's Simon Shaw 001. It's the first edition senior cordless.
Keep on with that.
The first edition senior. So yeah, please. Rhys, finishing off, what's on the horizon? Is there any competitions that you'd look to win? What's the title that you'd like to have behind your name?
Well, the problem is obviously working alongside Dale. There's always going to be a healthy competition, but we support each other quite a lot. I don't mind, to be honest. I enter all competitions that I feel like I'm applicable for. I'm not really in it for titles, to be perfectly honest, but it's great if they come along. On the horizon, we've got a couple of conventions coming up that me and Dale are cutting out. We've got I think the Great British Barber Bash, which is in London at the Oval. There's that, and just as things open up, do you know what I mean? We've got our next Look and Learn, which is again at the college. That's going to be on. I think we just confirmed it for Sunday, November 7th. So I think we've just made tickets live for that. And yeah, there's just then I sort of do like I think there's a thing called Barber Club as well that I'm a part of, so I do demonstrations for that as well. So basically, any competitions that sort of come up online, all of us in the shop, we all end up entering for it. Do you know what? In fact, actually talking about the last Wahl one, I felt really embarrassed because like my entry button didn't work on my phone. And I was getting annoyed. And I was clicking. I was saying to my missus in bed. So I was clicking away, and I was going, "Come on, enter, and all this." And I feel, and then eventually, I got an email saying you've entered. I thought, "Oh my god, I hope I haven't just." I think I sent an email back going, "I'm so sorry if I've just entered about 100 times." I felt awful. But
well, that's coming up at the end of this month, mate. So don't forget to enter.
Absolutely, 100%.
Rhys, you're obviously a very, very confident guy. You give Dale a run for his money on talking, so I'm sure it's a great atmosphere within the shop. We'll look forward to the extra large and the medium t-shirts in the post. Thank you for being on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on, mate. And I'll hand over to my partner in crime to give you the last word.
Good luck, Rhys. It's great to have you on the show, mate. I'm watching everything that you do, as you see, even down to watching you on a Saturday night singing Sweet Caroline. So I am watching what you're doing, and you are on the radar, mate. You're doing some great stuff, you and Dale. So good luck to you. Get entered in for the Wahl Barber of the Year, both of you. That's coming out end of August, but in the short term. Rhys Whitehouse from Hinces.
Thank you, guys. Cheers. Thank you. Pleasure.
See you later, buddy.
See you later, bud. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah. Just take a little breath. I'm just going to take a little drink.
Do you know what? While you've been talking, I've been doing what you've been doing. I've been sneaky drinking tonight. I've had 6 meantime.
That's not like you. Haven't you got a lot on in the morning?
I'm going to football to watch Alex tomorrow afternoon over in Sheffield. No, steady morning. I don't know about you guys. I can't, probably like our viewers, I like to, there's certain things I like. I'll have a quick look through our show tomorrow morning. I'll listen to some podcasts. I'm into Johnny Parkinson's podcast at the minute, the football podcast. So I listen to a couple of them, potter around a little bit, have a look at some emails. And then I like to have a bit of a brunch about 11. I did that yesterday, you know. I had some beans on toast yesterday about 11:30. I didn't have else to eat all day. Well, like,
I tell you what, you've got a lovely life, you have, you know.
I know.
What a lovely life you've got.
That's amazing. Everything's looking good. Everything's good. Jesus.
You go when you want. Have a little beard trim, sunbed.
Got an ironer.
God,
Cleaner. I do all my own cleaning, but everything else is good. So yes, football tomorrow afternoon. Finishing off with the Chinese probably tomorrow night. Don't know what I'm doing Sunday.
Hey, don't send me a photo of it.
Paracetamol time.
Right, so I'm going to go first tonight. Thank you, everybody, for watching tonight. We've had Shropshire on as well, Edgerton Barbers. They've been watching tonight. We've got Andrea Lynn Foster, Mark Walters, and all the usual suspects. Can I just say, Ross, if you're watching, we've had Ross Carter on as well from up beyond Adrian's Wall as well. Keep them Scots out. So we've got Ross Carter on, but Ross Miller, can we wish you another happy birthday, sir? Love you. I will send you a private message soon. Well done to all. Can I just reiterate to all the British Hairdressing Award winners, finalists, and to our Olympic team. We're smashing it at the moment. I think we're 6th in the medals tables. We got some locals to us that have taken medals as well. So everybody's working out there. Serial as well, sorry. I think she's broke a hand or something like that. I noticed that on Facebook. So hope you get well soon, Serial. Love you all. Great weekend. I don't know what the weather's going to be like in your particular area. It's absolutely razzing it down at the moment where we are. So have a great weekend. We'll see you all next week. We've got some great guests. I'm sure Sam will tell you. But have a great weekend and stay busy.
Well, guys, look, it's been an action-packed show. Great to have Joth on. I think Joth just was really honest tonight, guys. I thought I loved the interview with Joth, just going through about the last 12 months and then opening up the new Bricky Row I enjoyed that interview, even though I knew a lot of the background story. I kind of liked it. We also have Rhys Whitehouse as well. Rhys, wow, this guy's got so much confidence. I loved, even better for speaking to him like we have done tonight. Barbers Arms as well uncovers these kind of talents as well. This guy can talk. So again, from my point of view, when you come on this show, when you speak to people and they've got that confidence as well, it really makes me sit up and look at people. Great week this week. Enjoyed working with all you Fellowship Project men, guys and girls that was on the shoot on Monday with Jonathan Andrews and Gary, a friend of Barbers Arms, Barry Stevens, the chair of the Fellowship. That was a really good Monday. And leaves me one last thing to say. We've got some great guests coming up next week and the weeks after. We've got loads of guests lined up now on Barbers Arms. It's going to be really exciting, interesting. We've got a new podcast as well that's going to be coming up as well. That's really, really fun to watch and listen to. So that's going to be coming up shortly as well. So it all sends in for a really good thing here on Barbers Arms. We've one of these shows that we weren't just about lockdown. We've had us expos. We've got more expos coming. We've got more platforms coming. We've got more education coming. And these weekly shows, we might change me and Gaz up a bit. Sometimes we need a rest. You might see me not here for a few weeks and another presenter in with Gaz and vice versa. But we've got some really good stuff that's going to be coming up here on Barbers Arms. So thank you for tuning in tonight. Thank you for listening in wherever you are in the next week or so. We know that you all follow us, India, Spain, all across the world, America, everybody who watches us. We appreciate everybody's views. Both me and Gaz look through all your comments afterwards. So we do really appreciate it. And for you guys here in the UK, you know who you are, watching us every single week. We really appreciate all your support. Have a great weekend. Don't get too wet. Not in a weird way. Or maybe. But have a great weekend. Adios, amigos.
Good night, God bless. Straight home, no messing about.
Yeehaw!